Welcome to the Hyper Growth Zone podcast. This is your go-to resource for personal growth, mastering communication, and influencing and persuasion techniques that will help you unleash the full potential of yourself and others. Here is your host, Alex Morgan.
Welcome to another episode of the Hyper Growth Zone podcast. My name is Alex Morgan, and I'm a master trainer of hypnosis and NLP. Dive into the transformative world of Dr. Lise Janelle, a trailblazing growth accelerator coach known for her groundbreaking Heart Freedom Method. Featured on CBC News, CTV's Canada AM, and more, Dr. Janelle liberates clients from subconscious barriers, fostering rapid success. Founder of the Center for Heart Living, she authored You Are Loved and Conversations with the Heart, sharing profound insights into a life of love and growth. A member of the Transformational Leadership Council, Dr. Lise leaves an enduring imprint on personal development. Join us for an inspiring conversation unveiling her wisdom, resilience, and extraordinary journey. Welcome, Dr. Lise. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Alex, for having me. I think we're going to have fun because you and I want to accelerate growth.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about. You said the podcast is called the Hyper Growth Zone. Yeah, I talk about that a lot, pushing yourself and, really growing, because I look at the Hyper Growth Zone as like you could take a small risk and you can actually get like 1,000,000 times return on something. So why go for something small when instead you could go for something big? And we're also talking about creating fast change with inner resistance, and you can do that very quickly with something you created. So can you share a bit about that, why you got into it, and why is this so powerful so everyone can hear about it?
Yes. So my background, I'm a holistic chiropractor. And when I first started, I was really puzzled because I could have 10 people with the same low back condition, and 8 of them would get better, and 2 of them, I couldn't do anything. So it sent me on a quest to understand, different ways of doing things. And I met Scott Walker, who created a method called Neuro-Emotional Technique, NET. And it's powerful. It's great. It allows me to find where an emotion is stuck in the body. Often that's the reason why the pain still hangs around. But then in 2003, I sold my chiropractic business and I started being a coach because since 1989, I've had a mission in my career that I wanted to transform the lives of millions of people, because I understood really early on that people were happy and feeling successful. They don't get sick as often. And if they get sick, they usually heal much faster. So I got really inspired about doing this, but then I started having clients in Madrid and LA. So I couldn't do my face-to-face kind of chiropractic work anymore. So I had to create a method that would allow me, on the phone call back then, now on Zoom, to find a moment where someone created a belief that's now holding them back. So it's 10 easy questions that I'm writing a book right now with Jack Canfield because he loves the method, and he says it's the missing link he had been looking for in 50 years of doing transformational work. So it's really simple but powerful, and it allows me to find the moment when you created a belief that's now holding you back. And you will know this because there are 3 clues that you have a subconscious belief working against you. Clue number 1, you know what needs to be done, but you're not doing it. The famous procrastination. Number 2, you do what needs to be done, but you're using all your energies. Like, it's so much. Like people who go on a diet and they want what they want, but they're really fighting hard against their craving. Number 3, you keep doing everything right, but you get the opposite results to what you want. And so these are the 3 clues. And why does this happen? It doesn't happen because your subconscious mind is against you. It actually happens because your subconscious mind is in charge of keeping you alive. So when your subconscious mind has associated more pain than pleasure, more danger than safety, It will make you do all kinds of things, and you will feel it inside of you. You have this inner resistance. It feels wrong. Because relatively speaking, your conscious mind that wants something is the size of a football, and your subconscious mind, the football field. So that's a lot of power from the subconscious mind. So, and you will feel it. It's like when I do my work, the power of my work comes first. I come from the heart, from inspiration, not ideas. Because if you have ideas, yeah, they work for a little while, but then they run out of juice. It's like, if you get a kid, if you only had, an idea, I'm going to have a kid, and like, they're going to get stuff when you have a kid. But because you love your kid, you're willing to do whatever it takes to keep your kid alive and, do a good job. So it's the same thing. Whenever you can choose to do stuff from your heart, it gives you more courage, inspiration, more drive. But even when you have your heart that's really engaged, if in the back of your subconscious mind, you have this danger, don't do this, you will feel it. It's like what I do is I help align people's desire and goals in life with the conscious, the subconscious, and the heart. And that's where the true power is. And I'll give you an example. I had a woman come to see me, and she was an Olympic level skier, but she had not placed in 2 years. And she was pretty upset. So imagine an Olympic level skier. Consciously, obviously, she wants to win. And especially if you're a Canadian athlete, you make no money. You're poor as dirt, and you have no time for any social activity. It's really stringent, like being an athlete in Canada. It's all glory, not much beside that. So even though her whole life is focused on creating success, when I tested her on, I'm ready, willing, and able to win, she was not willing to win. Imagine. And so in 5 minutes, we found the reason. When she was 7 years old, she was already winning a lot, but her brothers were not. So her mom, to not make her brothers feel bad, was hiding her medals and her trophies. So now subconsciously, she had associated winning with upsetting other people, making them feel poorly. And if you know about Pavlov's dog, you bring food to the dog salivates, and you bring a bell. After that, you don't even need to bring food, you just ring a bell. So now as an adult, her teammates, and even your competitors sometimes, they feel like siblings. So she would end up in a race situation, and at that level, a fraction of a second can make you win, it can make you lose. So she would, put the brakes at the wrong place and slow down where she shouldn't be. So anyway, by fixing, and we had 2 sessions. She had this one is the most, important one I can tell you, but there was a whole bunch of other ones. We did 2 sessions, and after 2 sessions, she ended up placing on the podium. So this is the power of knowing about your subconscious mind, because I can guarantee you, people say, I don't have time to do this stuff. You can spend 10 years on a project and try to raise $50 million. And if subconsciously it's not in line with you, you're going to waste 10 years. You're going to lose $50 million. You're not going to get it. Why? Because subconsciously it's too dangerous. All driven individuals, all people who want to have results, they don't have a choice. They have to pay attention to this. And it doesn't have to take 10,000 hours. Every time you have a goal, you can feel it. If you sit there and you're supposed to do a report, an important report, and you would rather go and eat cookies or watch TV, that tells you right there, I have a subconscious belief working against me, and you can learn how to get rid of it. I have one-on-one coaching clients, but I also have some online programs where I teach people how to do this, because it's super important. Otherwise, you're wasting so much time having this inner resistance. It's not worth it to keep it there.
Yeah, I always look at when I work with clients working with the subconscious that you can, in such little time, you can literally get rid of decades of doubt. So the example you brought up, this person, something happened when they were 7. You're able to find it very quickly and get rid of it. And there she was on the podium. So you did mention some of your online programs. And before we jumped on here, we were talking about Unleash Your Dream Life, which is one of these. So do you want to go into a little bit of what that's about and what people can expect if that's something that they're interested in?
Yeah, I love my Unleash Your Dream Life program. I teach you how to use the Heart Freedom Method for, career, finance, love, health. I even have a special one on weight and cravings. It's amazing how people beat themselves up because they have cravings and they can't resist, but it's, again, subconscious stuff going on. So it's one lesson per area of life. So you have eight lessons, and you get 2 group coaching calls a month. So you get 1 hour lesson, you learn, you can practice with yourself, with your kids, with your spouse, and then you can show up on the group coaching call, you can ask questions, I get you to practice. I really want people, my goal is to have every family to have at least one person do the Heart Freedom Method. It's a really powerful way of moving yourself forward. And I was talking about cravings. That was so fun. When I was a chiropractor, I had this patient and she was really proud of herself. She changed her whole lifestyle. She was getting fit and everything, eating well. And all of a sudden, she started craving potato chips. Doing the work that I do, she remembered when she was a little girl, her and her 2 brothers, if at the end of the day they had been good girls and good boys, they would stand there, they would put their hand out, and mom would give them potato chips. So now, because she was being good, her cravings were popping back because that means I deserve this. And so if you're a parent listening to this right now, do not associate junk food with treats, because people will reach for junk food to make themselves feel better because they associate it with making themselves feel happy. I had a patient, she was really clever. She had associated celery as a treat. And she said, I would wrap it up in aluminum paper, put it under the Christmas tree. She said, I did everything I could to make it like a real treat. And back then, her son was in his 30s. And to this day, she says, when he's depressed, he reached for celery. So make sure you can't use, conditioned response to your advantage, but you can, get rid of the ones that are not working for you. That's for sure.
Yeah, and so many things we do are a conditioned response, so many visual, auditory, kinesthetic or feeling things, even taste or smell, as you're mentioned here. So that's really important to be aware of these conditioned responses. Also on here, it looks like you get into as well, like why people fear love and like this heart's dilemma with your technique. Can you explain why people might fear something like this?
Yeah. That's why I created another program. It's called Soul Worthy Love, because I find that most people are scared of love. And if you think right now, close your eyes and think of someone you truly love in your heart. Are they safe? Or is it dangerous to be in your love? So the reason why people are scared of what they think love is because people have actually associated infatuation with love. Infatuation is when you only see the good side of something and you haven't looked yet at the price to pay. So for me, I always use the yin and the yang. And it's super important to know that no matter what you do in life, there will always be a set of pros and cons to what you do. And sometimes when we're desperate, if you think that, I'm unworthy of love, nobody will ever love me, and then the first person that walks by that smells good, that looks good, and looks at you, you decide, okay, I'm going to go for this person because I'm so desperate, when you have no idea if this person is good for you or not. And the more we go in infatuation, and what's the difference between love and infatuation? When you love someone, it's quiet. When you're infatuated, you obsess with them. You think about them all the time. You're lying in bed, you're wondering, are they thinking about me? What are they doing right now? and you want to spend every moment of your day with them. That's infatuation. And as high as you go into infatuation, as low as you're going to go into resentment and pain and depression. And that's why people get afraid of going into a relationship, because they have associated those moments of infatuation with love when it's not love. I'm actually writing a new book, and it's called Love is Safe. If it's not safe, it's not love. So that's why I'm writing this book right now, because it's so too bad that people suffer for the rest of their life because they were 15 years old, they're insecure, and all of a sudden, someone pays attention and they go, finally, someone sees how amazing I am. And they fall head over heel in infatuation, and it doesn't last. Like, how many people do you know manage to stay with someone they met when they were 15 years old? So they get dumped. And now it hurts. So now they go into, the subconscious mind, realize love is dangerous because it makes me feel so poorly right now. So you say, I'll never let myself get hurt like this again. But you move forward in life and your heart wants to love. So there's this conflict that you have inside that wants love, but the other part of you is scared of getting hurt again. So you'll always find the emotionally unavailable person, or the person that if they leave you, you won't be shattered. And we create all kinds of stuff. And especially when you're a little kid, if your mom and dad are fighting, you go, I don't want this. This is dangerous. When what you were observing was not love in your parents. It was like, okay, they were learning how to love. Because when you have two conscious beings together who want the best for each other, you can have an amazing relationship. And I wrote an ebook, a little ebook, and it's called The Happy Relationship Checklist. And I think it's in the gifts that we give today, happyrelationshipchecklist.com. Basically, there are 5 points to have a consciously loving relationship. If you have those 5 things, it's only commitment that's going to make it work. So, number 1, be with someone who wants to be with you. It sounds, obvious, but I can't tell you the number of people who have come to see me and they're obsessed with trying to get someone to pay attention to them. And it becomes an obsession. Like, people don't sleep, don't eat. Like, their whole sense of self is tied up in trying to get this person to pay attention to them. So if somebody tells you the first 5 minutes that you meet, I'm not ready for a relationship, I just broke up, put a big X. Do not go. Warning, red signals. Do not try that. This is dangerous. So that's number 1. Number 2, even if they pay attention to you, you need to know whether or not they have a track record of being a good friend. It is your utmost responsibility. It's your fault if you give your heart to someone who's mean and is going to hurt you. So don't just give your heart to the first person that comes by because you're desperate, because you don't think you're worthy of love. Do your inner work. Because if you find that this person is there when the going gets tough for their family, for their friends, and they speak well of the people in their lives, even their exes, so probably you have a good person there. Number 3, be with someone who has similar core values as yours. Because no matter, if you're listening to this right now and you love learning and growing and accelerating your growth, and your partner, or the person you're dating, when you do this and annoys them, they feel threatened, they try to hold you back, don't do that. Like, find someone with similar core values, like the values that your mate must have, not your friends, because there are things that we can have from our friends. So know your core values, know which one you are not going to say no to, which one you must have in place. So that's number 3. Number 4, all relationship will face challenges. Why? Because if let's say something happened at work and it's hard and you're stressed out, or you have kids and brand new babies and you're not sleeping at night and you're both feeling stressed out, that's when you really need to be conscious okay, why did we get together? Because we wanted to love each other. So it's a commitment to making it work consciously. And then 5, a good sexual connection, whatever that means for you. Because often we go for 5, cross our fingers, hope the other 4s are there, and that's a recipe for catastrophe. So they're like, if you have those 5 things together, after that, it's just about being committed to making it work. Because like sexually, I've had couples who are asexual, and that's fine because both of them are asexual. They just need hugs and kissing, and that's all they want. Okay. If you're in a relationship where two people are very sexual, that's great. But if one person is very sexual and the other person is not, now you're going to have troubles. And often the person who's not very sexual feels like they deserve more, respect than the one who's very sexual. And that doesn't bode well. So if someone is not very sexual, check your hormones, learn tantra, do something to rise it up. And then the partner who's overly sexual, you can balance each other. You can find a good way of being together. So it is important, if you want to be in a relationship, to be conscious and let go of the subconscious beliefs that are holding you back.
Yeah, I mean, any relationship, I thought one of the good points you made is the values, because essentially that's what's going to motivate each person in the relationship. So if they're motivated by the same things, then they're going to be in it together, as opposed to like a push and pull all the time.
If you have someone with different values, you can work at it, but it's exhausting. And when you look at all the different areas of your life, career, finance, spiritual, physical, social, familial, your environment, like there's a lot of places to put your energy. And if your relationship is using 60% of your energy to try to make it work, then the other areas of your life suffer. So that's why it's important right now. If you're single, like what I just talked about, I can guarantee you download that happyrelationshipchecklist.com. It's going to save you lots of heartache. And if you are in a relationship already now, there are things that you can learn to do in my Soul Worthy Love program that will allow you to, work at it together. And sometimes I would say probably 60%, 70% of the time, you can actually grow more in love with each other. So I have single people doing my Soul Worthy Love program. That's easy for them because they don't have all these things to change. But if you're in a relationship already, some people don't want to do the work because what if I do the work and I discover that we should go apart? It's like, don't be afraid. I would say 60 to 70% of the time, if you do the work, it can actually rekindle your relationship and grow more in love. And then 30% of the time, you're much better off not staying together. And often people stay together because they don't want to lose half their assets. Well, if you stay for that reason and you get sick and your heart is miserable, there's no amount of money that's going to make it better for you. And the other thing is, then you're going to meet somebody else that's in line with your heart who's got assets. So even though you might lose half your assets, you're going to get somebody else who has assets. So you end up in a good place again, but this time you can do it consciously. This is super important. The aim of a relationship is not to make you happy or miserable, which is what happens often. The aim of a relationship is to teach you how to love yourself, how to love others, because when you love, you feel happy. So a relationship will make you happy, but not because a charming prince or a charming princess is going to save you, but because it's going to teach you how to love.
That's amazing, just thinking about that, teaching you how to love, because every relationship I've been in, you always learn different things about yourself, other people, and...
Yeah. Because the biggest thing we all have to learn is to let go of the idea that infatuation is love. Infatuation is not love. It's not love. When you're able to go about doing your workout in the morning and going to work and, doing all the good things for your heart and still have space for this person, that's love. But if you stop doing all the good things for yourself, for this person, then you end up resenting that. At first, it's good because, we're so... it's so new, it's so intense, sex is amazing, it numbs everything else. But with time, all of a sudden, the numbing goes away. Then all these things that were good for you, you're not doing them anymore. And now you start blaming them. This is the wrong person for me. Well, is it that they're the wrong person for you, or you stop doing the good things for yourself, for your heart?
Yeah, so one of the other things we were talking about before, it sounds like love can actually get what I'd like you to talk about next is your extreme freedom program. So I imagine if you have love, that can probably lead to extreme freedom. So can you talk a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, I call my seminar Extreme Freedom because I've had people who were able to go bungee jumping and jump on an airplane, but they were so afraid of looking at themselves. Like, if you don't know who you are, if you don't know why you're here, what you love to do, how are you going to have a good life? So, and freedom for me is not the ability to do what you want when you want. Freedom is the ability to do what's good for your heart. And there's a huge difference, you know? If you think, look, I want this chocolate cake, and you eat the whole chocolate cake. Yeah, well, you're doing what you want when you want, but is that really good for you? I don't think so. If you do this all the time, you're going to get sick. So, seminar is divided in two portions. The first portion is I help you experience a way of living life that's so transformative because it gives you courage to go after, you know, what your heart desires. And I love the word courage because cœur, you know, cœur is a French word for heart. So if you want to live an amazing life, you really need to learn to connect with your heart. So I teach you all kinds of principles, and actually I put you through an exercise where you get to experience your heart. So that on Saturday night, like, you feel like, wow, where have I been? And then on Sunday, we spent a whole day digging into what is it you want for your life? Because 80% of the people have no idea what they want to create with their life. They just go with the wind. They react to what the world around them wants them to do. If you don't know what you want to do in life, you end up doing what other people want you to do. And if you don't know what you want to get from life, you're going to end up with what people want to give you. So it's super important. Like, I've been teaching this since 1992. And every time I teach it, I learn something. And a lot of my clients, they do it once a year. Why? Because it's 2 days just for you that allows you to let go of the stuff you don't really need to do anymore, that you're wasting your time doing low quality things for yourself, and allows you to become clear. And then if you combine this conscious drive to fulfill your life, and you know how to get rid of your subconscious beliefs that are working against you, this is how you accelerate your growth. First, you need to be clear. Second, you need to know about letting go of your subconscious belief. And then it's about committing to making it happen. And if you have a mate that's driven like you, that you can have fun, it doesn't have to be, you know, you're both super career focused, but both super happiness focused. If you can, oh, and by the way, 2 happy people together made a great relationship. 2 miserable people together, it's not going to happen. And they live happily ever after. That only happens if you have 2 people conscious enough to strive to bring the best out of their lives.
Yeah, that's the only way. I imagine 2 miserable people, it wouldn't end very well. That wouldn't be extreme freedom.
That wouldn't be extreme freedom. And if you have 1 miserable person with 1 happy people, guess what happens?
What happens?
Lots of drama. Because the miserable person is always trying to get the happy person to take care of them. And after a while, the happy person goes like, this is not cool. So, like, if you right now listening to this and you think your mate is not making you happy, I highly recommend that you start asking yourself, how can I make myself happy? Because we cannot be hypocrites. And I'm using the word hypocrite very knowingly. And expect somebody else to be more willing to drop everything they're doing to make us happy than us taking the time to make ourselves happy. That's why I created that Extreme Freedom Weekend and the Soul Where They Love program, because you don't have to be born under a lucky star. You don't have to cross your fingers. If you do some basic common sense approach, you will get results. It's just like if you go to the gym and you train regularly, do you have to pray that your body's going to get stronger? No, you go to the gym, you get results. And it's the same thing. You do your inner work, you're clear, you're committed, you make things happen, you're going to live happy. I don't need a crystal ball to tell you what your life is going to be like 10 years from now. If you use your time in activities that are good for your heart, 10 years from now, you're going to be happy. And if you use your time every day, wasting your time in low priority things, listening to bad movies, bad shows, like reading trash, hanging around people who are not inspired, complaining all the time, 10 years from now, your life won't have changed. It's going to be the same thing. So it's about people right now. If you're listening to this and you go, all right, if you're attracted to this podcast with Alex, you probably are driven. There's a part of you that wants to make things happen in your life. Just commit to giving yourself a great life. And then as you go and you move forward, you'll feel it when there's an inner resistance that comes from your subconscious mind. Get rid of it, and then you just keep moving.
Yeah, anytime I work with people, I always think like we can be excellent at everything we do, and that does take commitment. So you've shared lots of really insightful things here, some different programs. So I want to give you an opportunity just here at the end. Where's the best place to go to get more information on these programs, or where to find you, or how they can contact you to learn more about what you do?
I have two websites. One is called heartfreedommethod.com. And if you go there, in the middle, you'll see there's a whole bunch of gifts that you can download and listen to and do. And you can contact my assistant at info@drlisejanelle.com. I also have a certification program for coaches who want to learn how to do this. Right now, I have 2 psychiatrists who are learning how to do the Heart Freedom Method because it's a very fast way of letting go of beliefs holding them back. So those are the things that I'm most inspired by. Unleash Your Dream Life, Soul Worthy Love, the certification, one-on-one coaching. Like I have a broad spectrum of services that you can benefit from, and I would love to work with you.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing that with us, Dr. Lise, and thanks so much for coming on the show. It was a pleasure to speak with you.
My pleasure. Thank you, Alex, for having me.
So thanks for listening. And wherever you listen to this podcast, please rate the podcast so it can get into the minds of more people. And I'd love to hear your feedback. And I hope to see you on the next episode.